Les funérailles de Dan Philippe à Montréal. Ce monsieur, grand leader de la communauté noire, comme vous le savez, Dan Philippe est décédé, hélas. Ce monsieur arrive au Québec et s'installe à Montréal en 72 précisément. Et en 74, il obtient un diplôme en éducation au collège Rhodes et devient entrepreneur en rénovation et en construction à la compagnie d'Ancor. La même année, il devient membre de la Black Coalition of Canada et du Conseil de la communauté noire du Québec. Il est secrétaire trésorier à la Fédération des travailleurs et travailleuses du Québec, FTQ, entre 77 et 80. En 79, il obtient un diplôme en sciences politiques de l'Université Concordia. Et il rejoint donc la Ligue des Noirs du Québec à la fin des années 70, dont il devient le président en 80, poste qu'il conservera jusqu'à sa retraite, donc en 2020. En 98, il réclame la censure du monologue Nigger Black d'Yvon Deschamps, vous en avez entendu parler. C'est en 2000 qu'il obtient le prix Rosa Parks de la Commission des droits de la personne. Et en 2001, il obtient donc le prix du bénévole de l'année au Québec. En 2004, il soutient François Rébello, candidat du Bloc québécois, dans Outremont. Et en 2005, la Ligue des Noirs du Québec porte plainte au Conseil de la radiodiffusion et des télécommunications canadiennes et au Collège des médecins contre le psychiatre Pierre Mailloux. Il donne son appui au Bloc québécois en 2006, puis diffuse la vidéo du viol collectif présumé d'une jeune femme dans le but de critiquer la partialité de l'enquête policière dans une conférence de presse. En fait, Dan Philippe meurt le 1er avril 2024 au centre d'hébergement Saint-Andrew du boulevard Cavendish à Montréal. Et donc ce soir, madame, messieurs, nous vous présentons un bref reportage justement sur les funérailles de monsieur Dan Philippe.
Mothers there expecting me, and fathers waiting too, and lots of folks are gathered there with the friends I knew.
Nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui pour rendre hommage à un grand Québécois, Dan Philippe, dont le départ laisse un vide immense dans nos cœurs et au sein de notre société. Dan Philippe fut un homme dont la vie était synonyme d'un combat pour l'égalité et la justice. Né à Saint-Lucie, Dan Philippe a choisi le Québec comme terre d'accueil en 1973. Il a rapidement pris la tête de la Ligue des Noirs du Québec, position qu'il a honorée avec dévouement jusqu'à sa retraite en 2020. Durant ces années, il s'est imposé comme un défenseur infatigable des droits des minorités, un activiste passionné par la justice sociale. Son engagement envers la défense des droits de la personne et sa lutte incessante contre la discrimination raciale ont marqué profondément notre nation. Nation dont il faisait part à part égale. Et sa lutte incessante nous a amenés ici aujourd'hui. Sous sa présidence de la Ligue des Noirs, il est devenu, et avec ce groupe, une voix forte contre l'injustice et pour la promotion du vivre ensemble. It wasn't a small task for a man of his humble beginnings to not only choose Quebec, a French jurisdiction, but to also leave us with such an amazing legacy of service. It's not a small feat being myself the son of an English-speaking immigrant. To come here and to make a go of it the way that he did is truly an honor to him and his family. Dan Philippe a été de toutes les batailles importantes, des mobilisations suivant des tragédies d'Anthony Griffin, Marcellus François et Richard Bernabé, à l'accompagnement des chauffeurs de taxi pour défendre leurs droits et leur dignité. Sa voix et son action résolue ont contribué à sensibiliser la société québécoise aux réalités du racisme et à l'importance de lutter contre toute forme de discrimination. Nous avons tous, chacun et chacune, notre vision d'un vivre ensemble. Souvent, nous sommes d'accord, des fois moins. Mais en tant que ministre responsable de la lutte contre le racisme, je tiens à affirmer que le gouvernement du Québec reconnaît son héritage et l'importance de poursuivre son œuvre. La disparition de Dan Philippe est un appel à renforcer notre engagement pour défendre les valeurs du respect, d'inclusion et de diversité qu'il a si vaillamment portées. Nous devons continuer de lutter avec autant de détermination que Dan Philippe pour un Québec inclusif où chaque personne, peu importe sa couleur de sa peau, son origine, la façon qu'il pense, est traitée avec égalité, équité et respect. C'est le meilleur hommage qu'on peut lui rendre. Permettez-moi de citer M. Philippe lui-même, qui disait souvent « Le travail n'est jamais terminé tant que l'égalité n'est pas atteinte ». Inspirons-nous de ses paroles et de son exemple pour poursuivre ce combat essentiel. À la famille de M. Philippe et aux membres de la Ligue des Noirs du Québec et tous ceux qui sont touchés par cette perte, je vous offre mes plus sincères condoléances. Ensemble, honorons la mémoire de Dan Philippe par notre engagement renouvelé pour l'égalité et la justice. I hope you all have a wonderful day and an amazing time remembering this great man, this great Quebecer.
Today, I've been given the honor and privilege to eulogize my good friend, Dan Philippe. It is an honor I deeply appreciated, but I wish this day did not come. A loving, caring, and trustworthy brother, a kind, adoring, thoughtful, and dependable friend, a devoted and dedicated leader of the Black Coalition, and a generous, sincere, and honest person are some of the sterling qualities and attributes of my dear friend, Dan. Even in his 80s, Dan never stopped working, never stopped serving people in the Montreal Black community. We have come here today to pay him our last respect, comfort his grieving relatives, and to tell him what he wrought, we will preserve, promote, and defend. We have come here today to honor him and to let him know that we will not give up on his quest for justice and equality. We have come here today to tell him that he was loved and to thank him for his services, for showing us the way forward, for providing us with the means to continue the struggle to fight for equality and justice for all, especially the poor, oppressed, and marginalized. We have come here today to bear witness to the true champion of the oppressed and marginalized and his extraordinary vision, who took on history, who challenged the status quo, and who dared both the present and future generation to conceive, create, shape, and consolidate society which is ours. So as we celebrate his life, we must also observe and remember his legacy. For more than 5 decades, Dan has dedicated his life fighting for the rights of the oppressed and the downtrodden here in Montreal. His conviction and passion for social change was infective, sparking thoughtful, judicious, and sober discourse with those in authority that have shaped and transformed the Montreal community. His advocacy for equality and justice and an end to discrimination was untiring and fearless, and he inspired all of us to speak out against societal wrongdoings. So I want you to know that where he is right now, some say in heaven, but I don't know where. I know he's resting peacefully, knowing that all of us gathered here today to remember him and to pay our respects to him. I will now go and call him.
Ce sont dans des circonstances bien difficiles que nous nous rassemblons aujourd'hui dans cette église pour dire collectivement au revoir à M. Dan Philippe. Frantz Fanon disait « Chaque génération doit, dans une relative opacité, découvrir sa mission, la remplir ou la trahir. » Alors qu'il a veillé à la défense des droits des communautés noires et des minorités en présidant la Ligue des Noirs du Québec de 1980 à 2020. Il a décidé de remplir la mission de sa génération et a consacré une grande partie de sa vie à défendre ses principes les plus chers, l'égalité et la justice, et ce, avec courage, détermination et persévérance. Je n'ai malheureusement pas eu la chance de connaître personnellement Dan Phillips, alors que lui cédait son titre de président de la Ligue des Noirs à M. Bazin, mais moi je faisais moi-même le saut en politique à ce moment-là. Je dois vous dire que j'ai été à la vigile qui a été tenue à son honneur il y a quelques semaines à la Ligue des Noirs, qui est dans l'arrondissement de Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, et j'ai vraiment été bénie d'écouter les témoignages de ses frères et sœurs d'armes, littéralement, au cours de toutes ces années. Et c'est donc en espérant honorer son travail entamé que je continuerai à emboîter ce chemin qu'il a tracé. Et dans ce monde qui se polarise de plus en plus, où nos droits ne sont jamais à l'abri, je sais de quel côté je choisis de me placer dans cette mission de notre génération. Phillips was not merely a leader, he was a catalyst for change. Through his tireless efforts, he amplified the voices of those too often silenced. In the face of adversity, Phillips remained steadfast, his convictions unshakable. He navigated turbulent waters with grace and determination, paving the way for future generations, like myself and Mr. Skeet, to continue the fight for a more inclusive and equitable society. And that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. Continue to fight with grace and humility. Thank you, Mr. Dan Phillips, for all the lessons shared. We'll make sure to never forget where we come from, and most importantly, where we need to go. So to all of us, all of you, mourning his loss today, my sincere condolences, and may he rest in power.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate the life of a great person. But it should also be noted that Dan was modest and unassuming. He so profoundly touched the lives of so many Quebecers. His work really did lead to the betterment of the living conditions of so many here in Quebec. It was no accident that as the news of Dan's passing reached the media, that Premier Legault tweeted within several minutes about what a loss it was for Quebec. All the time that I've known Dan, he never thought of himself as famous or important, but he was. He didn't have a lot of money, We didn't have a huge organization that was powerful. He spoke truth to power. And he did it in a way that ordinary people could really understand what he was talking about. His strength was the justice of his words. And as such, he provoked long overdue change in Quebec. First of all, before I talk more about Dan, I want to say that the weight of office of the Ligue des Noirs of Quebec, the Black Coalition of Quebec, has fallen on the shoulders of Max Funerailles. It's true, he has large shoes to fill. And he is keeping the work of the League alive, and it's important that he does so. One of the first people I heard from after learning of the death of Dan was Max Funerailles. He offered me condolences. I'm not family. Dan was a constituent, was a friend, was an ally, a comrade in arms. Often we took up what seemed to be quixotic causes. You can't possibly win that. You're going up against the police department. You don't have the strength of the city council. But we believed in what we were doing, and we actually effected change. And Max Funerailles, when he contacted me, said, the life of Dan was exceptional. We have to find a way to honor it. And he suggested that there needs to be a street or a place, a building, something in Montreal that recognizes the contribution that Dan Philippe made to Montreal and to all of Quebec. I'm pleased to say that Max Funerailles' request, I called the city council for Snowden, who's no longer me, Sonny Morose, who's promised to talk to his colleagues at council. There needs to be an effort to honor the memory of Dan Philippe, and soon, too. Now, Dan was president of the Black Coalition for almost 40 years. And during that time, he did some exceptional things. Even before I knew him, he had already won a signature victory. You may not recall this. The taxi industry in Montreal used to be exclusively white. There wasn't a single black driver anywhere. Dan Philippe desegregated the taxi industry in Montreal. And more than that, he took on overt and open discrimination in housing. Not that long ago, you could be black, you could be successful, you got money in your pocket, but a landlord could turn you down with some phony reason and you had no recourse. Dan's work led to legislation that made that illegal and made that punishable. Dan made change occur that had an impact on literally the lives of thousands of people who were ghettoized because they couldn't live in certain neighborhoods. He desegregated housing in Montreal. Much of my work with Dan was on issues relating to police relations. Dan was always concerned about poor relations between the black community and the police department. And one of the first things we ever talked about is he said, it doesn't have to be that way. It needs to change. Now, he was never intimidated by the fact, the power imbalance, that he had on one side, La Ligue des Noirs de Québec, a very small organization. On the other side, he's dealing with La Fraternité des Policiers de Montréal and the police department. He said, I have justice on my side, there will be change. I worked with Dan after Anthony Griffin was killed. You'll remember that in 1987. A police officer shot him between the eyes, right in the head, and he died instantly. Dan asked for justice. He wasn't intimidated at police brutality. He said, I will call it out and the public will stand with me. One of my proudest achievements as city councilor was, against all odds, I was able to get through Montreal Council and National Assembly the need for civilian oversight of law enforcement. The police police themselves. 99% of complaints were found to be irrelevant, non-justified. We were able eventually to legislate a system with the civilian commissioner, open hearings, support for complainants, something that was much more credible. I could not have done that without two people standing by my side. One was Dan, the other was Marvin Jennings. The minister, Herbert Marks, said, "You have justice on your side," and he legislated it. And he said, "I like you, Marvin, but if it wasn't for Dan, Philip, and Marlene, this probably wouldn't have gone through." I can't tell you what a change that made in the way the Black community and other minorities saw the police department. For the first time, they felt if an injustice is done to us, our word will be heard, and it will be a judge in open court who will be able to decide. It won't be behind closed doors.
I have tried to focus on some of the achievements of the coalition, the major ones. But there is much more to say. I have to mention with honorable recognition Mr. Bazin Sr., not Bazin Jr. as yet. Bazin Jr. has not made his name yet. But Bazin Sr., myself, and Dan, we went to Quebec City to represent the coalition and to give our ideas on the topic at hand. The coalition has helped in making Montreal a better place. We do not hear more of the police brutality that we experience as a group of Black people. There is still much to be done and to achieve. And I hope that the new leadership, Mr. Bazin Jr., will continue in the same vein. Educate the people themselves. Educate the people, because that's the only way they can compete for a position when it is open. One can never forget Marguerite. I don't know if it's Margaret or if it's Marguerite, but they're always called Marguerite. Yes, and we can never forget Marguerite, the office manager who has continued to work ceaselessly to organize and to continue the coalition. Permit me also to recognize Mary Pepek, we call her Pepek, she knows who I'm talking about, for the efforts in the coalition. Try as much as one wants. There can be no separation between the coalition and Dan Philip. The two are inseparable. There can be no leader without a movement, and the same is true in the reverse. The coalition will continue to sensitize the Black community, for that is its purpose. I'm repeating myself. The coalition will and must, I must add, continue to sensitize the Black community, for this is the purpose for which it was established. Thank you very much.
Mon affection à la famille de Dan et à vous tous ses amis. En particulier, je dirais à M. Bazin et à Marguerite. Merci Marguerite qui fut sa fidèle collaboratrice. J'ai connu Dan il y a presque 50 ans. Il était à la coalition dans les années 80. Je fus élue à l'Assemblée nationale du Québec en 81. Et ça a duré pour moi 28 ans et pour lui plus que 40 ans. Mais nous sommes restés en contact. Et c'est une grande marque d'amitié qui m'est faite aujourd'hui que de prendre la parole à ses funérailles. Il savait que j'accepterais de le faire parce qu'à chaque fois qu'il m'appelait, j'acceptais ce qu'il me proposait. D'ailleurs, pouvions-nous lui refuser quoi que ce soit? N'est-ce pas? Parce que nous savions que ce qu'il nous proposait, c'était de collaborer à ces batailles qu'il entreprenait. Et moi, j'ai toujours eu confiance en lui. I have always trusted him. His battles were just as well as necessary. He acted firmly and without animosity. He evaluated the progress he made with the conviction that there was a long road ahead. Ses combats étaient justes. Il fut un pionnier, nous l'avons dit aujourd'hui, et je le répète parce qu'il fut un pionnier au Québec de la lutte au racisme, à la discrimination raciale, de la lutte aux inégalités sociales. Évidemment, un de mes premiers souvenirs, comme nous l'avons mentionné aujourd'hui, c'est l'appui à la lutte des chauffeurs de taxi haïtiens. Nous sommes fin des années 70, début des années 80. Many more struggles had followed. He was the first to denounce police brutality against visible minorities in Montreal. Je voudrais que la ville lui rende hommage pour cela par un symbole public très fort. Et j'espère que la ville va retenir la nécessité d'avoir son nom qui est au fronton d'un immeuble pour l'éternité. Dan était un homme juste, un homme libre, un homme indépendant. Sa parole était droite. Il avait son franc-parler, sans détour. Il n'était dépendant d'aucune idéologie, d'aucun parti politique. Sa cause aura toujours été celle de l'égalité des droits et de la justice sociale. Ce qui lui importait, c'était de faire tomber des barrières et pas d'en construire. C'est sans doute la raison pour laquelle il s'est mis sérieusement à vouloir parler français. D'ailleurs, il me disait, pour m'aider, moi, à parler anglais, écoute la radio. C'est ce qu'il faisait en français. His will to learn French has impressed me, and I'm grateful for his openness. Ce qui a permis à Dan Philippe de surmonter l'adversité et de nombreux obstacles sur sa route, c'est ce sens de l'humour qui ne l'a jamais quitté. C'était une sorte de philosophie de vie qui lui a permis de réduire la lourdeur, le poids de tous ces changements qu'il savait devoir réaliser. Je vous termine en vous disant un aspect de sa personnalité dont personne n'a parlé aujourd'hui, que vous ignorez peut-être. Il aimait la musique, mais il était surtout un très bon danseur. Cela aussi, j'ai pu l'expérimenter. Merci, Dan, de tous ces combats que tu as menés. Thank you for all the battles you fought your whole life. We will miss you.
Ils ne nous ont pas assez donné de crédit pour la continuation de sa vie. On ne va jamais les oublier. Merci.
We had to be here today to honor the legacy of Mr. Dan Phillips. He has paved the way for all of us younger next generation. So we're happy, and we wanted to be here to let the community know that all the work he's done will be continued.
And so the reason why I'm here today is again to give respect to one of the founders of the community. I recently lost my dad, who was also someone of the community, and so I understand what my dad is. Nana Kwateng Amening, also known as Papa Africa, husband of Mama Africa. And basically, again, legacy, impact on community is so important. It changes so much for us individually as in our lives. And I just wanted to come and say thank you to somebody that I never had the chance to meet, but I'm an example of someone who's impacted by some of the actions that he made. And so my life is better because of him, and I wanted to say thank you.
Just a few minutes. You say you're an example. Could you please give us more?
Well, okay, so even something as simple as what one of the members was talking about earlier in terms of housing. You know, somebody could have been successful, somebody could have been black, have money in their pocket, but not been able to live in certain neighborhoods. And I'm able to live essentially where I want in Montreal. And so I'm thankful for that opportunity to even be able to just choose where I want to live based off of my wants, my desires, my likes, and not have to be stopped simply because of the color of my skin. Being black, I've been stopped by the police, harassed by the police for different things as well. But at the same time, I haven't been like members of the community have been in the past. And that's something that I'm thankful for, that I never had to experience some of those things. So even though, again, I never got a chance to meet him, his actions have influenced my life and have made it better, even though I didn't even know. So I've come here today to learn, to appreciate, and again, just show respect and appreciate the legacy that was left behind.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good day. Hi, my name is Sharon Nelson. I'm the first vice president of the Jamaica Association of Montreal, and it is imperative that we came to be here and to show respect to Mr. Dan Phillip, and the life and the legacy that he's left us. He was tireless. He was an activist. What was most important about him is that he spoke out, and he made sure that people understood what was right and what was wrong, and that there were people that were underserved in our community, and he stood up for them. Situations such as the Marcellus Francois with Anthony Griffin and so many more, the taxi drivers. He did not shy away from speaking and saying the truth and saying what was right and what needed to be done. So in honor of what he's done and what we need to continue in the city is to be here to represent. He worked alongside Mr. Noel Alexander, who was president of the Jamaica Association for a number of years, for over 30 years. So his legacy lives on not only in his works, but with the people that he worked with, and that we are a part of those organizations as well. So, it's important that we continually pay tribute to people who have given of themselves tirelessly for our community. Thank you.
My name is Cynthia Waith, and I'm the president of Barbados House Montreal. I had the honor of seeing Mr. Phillips receive his award, his last reward from Marvin Rotron last year. And I had the opportunity to tell him how much I admired him based on my parents, who grew up with Dan Phillips being in the community and fighting for the rights for our people. And my parents are the ones that told me when I was very small, saying, you need to look up to Mr. Phillips. And you're going to be doing things in the community, you need to look up to this man, because this man is the one that you should model. And I'm so happy that I was able to share that story with him. And I'm just honored to be in his presence. He's a great man, a great trailblazer, and we're here to continue his work.
What I just said was what he actually did in his lifetime. And he was a strong advocate for equality and justice against police brutality. And he wants a more just society for minorities, because minorities are not represented in the police force, not represented in the governments at all three levels, federal, city, and provincial. And he made moves to clear the way for those things to happen.
Now, I have one question, Doctor. Do you really think that since this gentleman did so many things since the 70s, that our black community, the situation changed really about you?
Yeah, Montreal changed a lot.
Yeah, you think that?
Yeah, Montreal changed a lot, because now there are much more minorities in the police force. There are much more minorities at all levels of government. And on top of that, I want to take this opportunity to call upon the city of Montreal, the provincial government, to name something after him. Not only a street, but a park or a building or something.
All right, now, how do you explain what people is still talking about the violence in our community? Right. How do you explain that? Do you have some solutions?
Well, violence is something that will never go away. That's the reality. But I think it has been minimized a lot in Montreal now. The coalition has fought against all those sort of things, and now we're seeing a Montreal that is evolving into becoming a better society.
I met Don long time ago, and I get to hear what he doing to the community, and I was very proud, because I'm a black young lady growing up in the community, and it wasn't easy. So I'm very happy that he stand up for us. So I'm very proud of what he done, and he leave a legacy behind, and I hopefully the people behind will able to lead us as we continue and fight for progress in this country.
I am Fiona. I'm the very good friend of Mr. Dan Phillip. His best friend, which is Earl Clary and Mary Clary, they are my mother-in-law and father-in-law. So he's been a big inspiration to me and my whole family. So we love him and we adore him, and we will continue to pray that Montreal people and the whole of Montreal will push themselves to do what he was doing for the whole of Montreal.
He's gone, but I only hope, like it will still fall in the steps, that they can continue, improving what Dan did. Yeah. Earl Clary. Dan, we have known for about 62 years or so. Yeah, long time. From the very beginning, we've been together. Yeah, in all the things that he have been going through. Like I was always there with him. Yeah.